I had a conversation with my God Squad this morning, and I wanted to share it with you guys because it was more of an analogy than a conversation. And it resonated so deeply here that I thought it made sense to come on here and just talk a little bit about it. So, in this analogy, envision yourself as a seagull. In the seagull's mind, it's free. It's got wings. It seems to have its own interdependence and its ability to cascade off over the seas and dip down into the waters and do all of these things. Yet this particular seagull is still carrying all of its feathers from the previous year in this analogy. For whatever reason, this seagull thought better than to molt, thought better than to allow nature to do what it's meant to do, and it clasped onto each of these feathers as if each one would keep the memory of whatever it brought with it alive. In the analogy, the seagull goes to take off, and now, for whatever reason, it's starting to recognize that by carrying these extra feathers, it feels somewhat weighted down. Each feather has its own disposition, its own energy. So the seagull can only fly so high. Its awareness is only able to take in the depth of what it's able to fly above and preview from above. And let's use that analogy as our awareness. Now, as the seagull is flying and seeing clouds and noticing other seagulls soaring way above and is unable to make it there, it recognizes something within itself to allow the feathers to pelt and the molting to take place. And as it's becoming more open to that concept, and those feathers start to fall away on their own by virtue of wind, water, other exchanges, etc., we call it life, it's able to soar higher, and its ability to see beneath it, the perspective widens, and it gets excited about that, and it thinks, my goodness, this unraveling is allowing me to soar high above all of this and have a much bigger bird's eye view. With that added awareness, it now not only sees a variable, it sees more variables. We call this free will. Yet the seagull knows everything was created at once. Therefore, everything is here within my capacity. And as each feather falls away, my ability to rise into a higher level of awareness, as I'm no longer weighted down by these old feathers, allows me to see a wider view and seem to move and flow to better spaces because I have a bigger perspective. With each feather that falls, up, 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 bigger, 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 wider filters, bigger parameters and abilities to see. And life is divinely meant to do this with and for us. Just like the seagull, we too are not intended to carry every memory, every experience, every thought, every old conditioned belief with us. That was never intended. Free falling means allowing all of that to fall away by itself. Life will help us do that. When we get out of clasping and asking all the questions of, why is this happening to me again? Why am I looping in this again? Why am I in this experience of loneliness again? Why have I fallen short again? Each one of those into time and space and all these constructs that are not true. I thought this analogy to be beautiful and simple, and one that, like others that have been shared here, once that toothpaste is out of the tube, it can't go back in. That seagull is boundless. It's boundless, as are we. We as human beings in this 3D prove this every day. Go back 10 years ago to the Guinness Book of World Records, the fastest runner. And we all read that and we thought, certainly that's it. That's the ceiling. There's no one that can beat that. 10 years later, so many have. How? How? Because they don't know a ceiling. They only know this moment, their unwavering faith, and their ability to rise above it. We're all given that same affordability. You can certainly comment on my page about all the suffering, and you just keep embedding yourself there. In this moment, as you're typing to me about your suffering, look around at what you're missing. Look around at what's celebrating around you. I'm not saying to be naive and put your head in the ground like an ostrich and not know what's going on in the world. Quite the opposite. I'm saying that we each have a responsibility for ourselves to keep unraveling so that we are continuously in that higher state of awareness with that bigger purview, that bigger ability to see all of the variabilities in creativity for us, without the idea that this moment will never change. That's the one thing we can be sure of. It will change. Whatever is here right now is already gone. I hope that helps today. Much love until next time.